all I knew was church. I'm just an old church girl. That's all I knew. And so to put what I've been through without exposing individuals, that was kind of like my therapy.
Hello, welcome to another great episode of Love Speaks. My name is Francois, along with this beautiful lady,
Lakeisha.
and we're so excited to have you here with us. Love Speaks is what love is.
As we continue to highlight on this platform various individuals who's doing great work in the community, rather they have a nonprofit organization, rather they're entrepreneur, maybe even from the local churches. So whatever you are doing in the community, and if you're passionate about it, we would love to have you as a guest on Love Speaks. So know that this is your invitation. Go ahead, email us, notify us, whichever means you can. You can message us and let us know you'd like to be a part. You want to share your story, because we would love to hear it and also to bring it to our viewers.
So let's get this episode started at Love Speak. This one I'm super duper excited about because it is about entertainment. Entertainment. And what happens is we have stars all around us. We have stars all around us. I am particularly interested, and I've always been interested in the arts. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give a shameless plug out there. If you can't tell by the blue, I went to Miami Northwestern Senior High School. I'm going to tell you what class I graduated in because, I still look good and young. And I was a part of the PAVAC program, Performing in Visual Arts program. In that, I was a part of the magnet program, the vocal ensemble, the concert choir, and we had the opportunity to sing with some of the greatest of the nations. We had the opportunity to perform on great platforms, and so that also opened the door for me to participate in a few plays. I've had the opportunity to be on stage and do a few little cameos here and there, but that's a part of the arts, and I love the arts. We just experienced a few Broadway productions on the cruise line.
And I do love the arts as well. I'm not really, familiar beyond our entertainment in regards to Hollywood, because I myself was not in production or anything of that nature, but I do know talent when I see it, and I love the arts. I watched in our Hollywood performance, but we do, as you said, have local artistry right here in our local city that's doing a great and phenomenal job. They have productions, they have phenomenal plays. And so we want to highlight that because I think it's something good. We're not looking only to Hollywood, but we're looking right here in our local city.
And we are so honored to be connected to one of South Florida's greatest, especially in the area of playwrights and play production. Would you help me welcome our good friend, Madam Sharr, Shartania Cromer?
Thank you
Welcome,
so
welcome.
very, very much. I am elated to be here. This is an absolute pleasure to be here with you guys to talk about my productions.
Awesome. We're so happy to have you. And we are just extremely proud of you and the things that you're doing and that you're producing. So, firstly, how long have you been doing your playwrights? And how did it start?
So I started when I was in middle school. I loved it in middle school. And high school is when I really start participating in school. So that was where I was able to display my passion. Although I was an introvert during the time, before I became fully into it, into my adulthood, it started in high school.
So that's good. So you started getting your creativity while you were in middle school and high school, and so now when it came down to you actually doing your productions, what was your inspiration when it came down to actually getting started and starting your production? What was your inspiration? What's your story behind that?
I actually wrote a play, my first play, and I had the storyline. And I sat on it for 2 years because of fear.
Wow.
I was afraid to go forth. I was a part of this group of young pastors and preachers called the Council. So I pitched it to them and I was like, guys, I wrote this play 2 years ago. What do you guys think? So they read over it and nothing became of it. They was like, oh, okay. So I took it to one of the pastor's wives. And I said, sis, could you look at this script and tell me? Because I was thinking about doing it. I wrote it 2 years ago. I was thinking about implementing it. So she read it. She said, I say go for it. She said, I love it. It's beautiful. We did a live video. And she basically was the person in my ear speaking and cheering me on. Do it, girl, do it. And so with her inspiration in my ear, I went for it and I did it. I did it without resources. I did it without funding. I just did it. And I stepped out there a whole lot of nervous, a whole lot of fear, and I did it anyway. I did it anyway.
And that's something I heard you say earlier in regards to. I just kind of want to go back to that, being an introvert and still yet stepping out into this space of unknown and uncertainty, that you were able to not only come out with your first play, but now you're what, 14 plays
14 plays in September.
later.
Mark 14.
Wow, 14 plays later. And so how did you go from that idea of having play one to the execution to having Madam Sharr's company that has produced now 14 plays?
14 plays. And so it started out, like I said, with that first lady, and she was like, "You gonna do a casting call?" I was like, "Sure." So I had a casting call at my church, and I started the casting call. I think it was from 9 a.m. to like 1. Nobody showed up from 9 a.m. to noon. And we're sitting there. I remember going live a couple of times. I remember getting discouraged. She was like, "No, sis, you got this. You got this." So a little after noon, individuals start showing up. They start showing up. So I got my entire cast that day. And I was so excited. So I was like, oh, snap. God is with me. And so we went for it, and she was in the play as well. And we produced it out. And I said, now, where am I going to hold this play? So I got through this part. I didn't have none of the logistics together. I just was so excited to be in the casting call and get the people I need to let this be a successful production. So I started being a PK, a pastor's kid. Yes. I said, I know a lot of pastors whose church can help me facilitate this production. So I started looking around. I said, I know. So I went to someone that knows me, who always, I call her my inspiration. She's always been there for me. She's always encouraged me. So I called her. She's my daughter's godmother. And I said, Apostle, I want to do a play. And she said, okay. I said, but here's the kick. I want to do it at your church. Okay. I was like, so how much are you going to, because, doing venues is, she was like, I believe in you. And she allowed me to host it there at no cost.
Wow.
And so that was a huge for me. And I'm always indebted to hers, even though she's like, she don't count it as such, but I appreciate her for opening up her doors. And we were sold out. The first production was sold out.
Wow.
I heard the inspiration. So just the inspiration I hear from you, this is bigger than just a production and bigger than a play. For you, it was just that moment at that casting call when no one showed up, because somebody else would have given up at that third hour and say, okay, maybe God, you didn't call me to do, let's pack it up and let's go. But I hear the inspiration in your story. It's production for you, but as you said that, it's just make my baby leap and say, wow, this is more than production. This reaches across every aisle. It reaches across, every endeavor, every vision, every idea that we have. Don't give up. And so it was just great hearing that part of your story, because we see the outside, we see the production, we see the demonstrations of it, but nobody knows the story. Nobody knows the behind the scenes. And so it's good to hear the behind the scenes moment as that, because it brings hope now to me. And I know that hope is our future. And if we're going to continue to do anything, we must keep the hope. So thank you for sharing. Does any of your production depicts any of your personal life experiences?
Actually, all of them. Thus far, all of them. every scene, every production, not every scene, but every production has a scene of something that has happened or transpired in my personal life. Something that I've overcame, something that I've endured. As I said earlier, I'm a PK, I'm a pastor's kid. So we see a lot of things behind the scenes. And so there were a lot of things that I saw, a lot of things that I heard by my grandfather being a bishop, his wife a first lady, and then my mom and my stepfather. So I've always, all I knew was church. I'm just an old church girl. That's all I knew. And so to put what I've been through without exposing individuals, I put it, that was kind of like my therapy. That was kind of like my therapy. Sometimes I find myself getting emotional as I stand back and I look at the scenes and the things that I went to prior. It comes back in my memory. And so instead of crying and weeping and using it as something to as a trigger, I use it as a moment to celebrate me overcoming the adversity, right? The resilience. It shows me like, girl, you did that with the help of God.
Wow, that's phenomenal. And then one of the questions I wanted to ask was, when we look at, did you get any inspiration from people like Tyler Perry and people like, oh my God, what's his name? I had his name at the tip of my tongue. I want to say his name was Dale, who was just phenomenal playwrights and produced their things. Do you get any inspiration from them as well?
No, I actually don't like when people compare me to Tyler Perry. They're like, oh my God, you're the baby Tyler Perry. No, I'm not. I've never met him. You know, I passed by his studio. I celebrate and I'm so happy
Exactly.
for the way that he's paved and the doors that he's opened for so many black actors and actresses, right?
Exactly.
And so I'm excited as his journey. I saw his documentary, which had me in tears.
Yes.
But my story is different.
Absolutely.
Very different. I said, I will be, Madam Sharr, the first black Christian woman to do things a bit differently in as far as entertainment, arts, culture, and the theater, live stage plays. And I said, God, I want to be something different. Because sometimes we watch and we study individuals. They start off as our mentor.
Exactly.
And then we mimic them because we've watched them, and the mind is something.
Yes.
The mind takes pictures before we even know it. It's grasping it and it's pasting it here. And now we're becoming an imposter to somebody else. But God, I need my own identity in who you've called me to be to walk into this production road. Like,
And I love that you said that, because playwrights and play productions have been going on way before he hit the scene. So we celebrate him, we celebrate his level of success and what he's done. But I love the fact that you don't allow that to deter where you're actually going. You're able to celebrate him in his lane while still keeping focus and drive your lane, because your story may not is not his story. Your experiences are not his experiences. And so I commend you for doing the phenomenal job that you've done. So as you, like you said, you most of your, all of your plays have some part of your real life in it. It has some parts of your real life. And so it seems like it becomes a part of therapy for you. So that sounds good. So how do you cope with reliving the experiences through the scenes being played out before your eyes?
it's moments of reflection and gratefulness and gratitude. The most emotional one we did, it was My Truth Was Not a Lie. And that production was about a young lady who mother was married to a preacher and the preacher was molesting the daughter. And so that production was a struggle for me. I thank God for where He brought me from, because a lot of times when a young person goes through something, it comes. You hear a lot of people talking about their inner child, getting in touch with their inner child these days, because a lot of things, a lot of traumas happen at that younger age. And so that happened to me when I was 12 years old. And so that was a constant reminder of, oh my God, this preacher actually. So we look at preachers as an esteemed person in the community, and so my grandparents were big on taking in individuals and helping them, whether you were related or not. My grandfather was a real community person, so I know that's where I get that from, and so I'm a real community person as well. So he brought this preacher in, and the preacher began to do some things inappropriate to me. And being afraid, because this was an esteemed preacher, I didn't want him to get in trouble, and I didn't want myself to get in trouble. And so I didn't want people to say, oh, you did something, or you looked a certain type of way. Not saying that that was going to happen as a PK, but that was in my own mind. Yeah. The door wasn't open for me to go and express. Mm-hmm. And so I had to basically deal with that on my own. My mom didn't find out until, I want to say, my early 30s. From 12 years old.
Wow.
And so the moment when I began, she said, why didn't you tell me? I didn't know how.
Exactly.
A lot of things growing up as a pastor kid, these are some things you don't say. You don't be out of place. You don't be in grown folks' business, right? So you kind of like stay in the child's place. And so that was one of the hardest productions that I did. And when I made it through, I was looking, saying, God is truly a healer and a deliverer to bring you out with no residue.
I'm just sitting here like, whoa, now I really see the depths of your play and understanding there's a story attached to it, a real story.
A real story.
This is not something made up. This is not something that you just pulled out of thin air, but these are your personal experiences. So how do you emotionally, how do you, because these are emotional experiences that you've experienced, mm-hmm. Throughout your own personal journey, but how do you take from these personal experiences that have impacted you, have impacted this story now you're telling through your productions? How do you employ strategies to be able to make sure that your emotions are not depicted in your professional?
So there's certain, I do a self-talk. Now I'm working on regimens to help keep me grounded and keep me in a space, because these are deep things. So back to what I said with my mom, she had invited a preacher. I was a youth pastor at the time. She invited that preacher to come speak my service. So in that moment, I had to pull myself together and have a conversation with her. I was afraid. He came, he ministered, and I was saying, God, please don't let him put his hands on me. And so afterwards, I had a conversation. I said, Mom, please do not invite him again, because these are the things that happened to me. And so I had to have a moment of transparency with her to let her know that happened to me. And so after that particular production, so many women came up to me saying, this happened to me with a preacher. This happened to me with my father. This happened to me with my stepfather. And so now I have therapists who I've connected with. And this is a strategy and a resource that I provide to individuals that may have went through something. I refer them to these individuals to help them navigate through what it is, because that can open up. Everybody's not like me. Exactly. We're all different. I like that. I heard earlier, everybody's different, right? And so I have professionals there to help individuals that went through similar stories and who's not come out as I am.
Exactly.
So what do you, and it's glad to know that you have this in place, you have these strategies, because like you said, these are real life issues. And so what it does, it resonates and kind of puts some people, maybe even in the production, in that trauma again. So what do you say to those people who have experienced the same trauma or similar trauma, and what can you say to help someone heal from blaming themselves? Because it's always, you noted to that in your own statement, that it wasn't what I dressed or what but we go through that self-blaming, as a result of any kind of traumatic experience. The first person we start looking at is self. I did this. How did I allow this to happen? So, what do you say to those individuals that are self blaming?
I will speak to them and let them know at that time when they were a child, it's the adult who has to be the accountable adult for making adult decisions. And so it's not your fault. I'm a prime example. Although our stories may be different, but I'm an example that you can overcome. It's not eternal what you endured. And so I also offer uh, counseling sessions to my cast members. A lot of my cast members, some of the topics were triggering for them. And so I have that resource available because I know the topics that I talk about are truly traumatic topics, are sensitive topics. These are topics that are swept under the rug. These are topics that we don't talk about on a day-to-day basis. And so as we open up these different things, I need to have resources there. And a lot of times being a PK, we just want to get the oil.
Yeah. Yeah.
We want to cast it out.
Exactly.
But a conversation need to be had
Yes.
for true healing to take place.
Yeah, you're right on it, especially for this platform. That's one of the things that we really firmly believe in. I love the fact that you just tell your story, and you also are wise enough to realize that your story can be triggering and trigger things for others, and you actually, like you said, provide counselors because often people don't mind opening a wound and they just leave it open, not understanding that that wound can be affected if we just leave it like that. So being able to provide counseling to your staff because they may themselves be triggered, and to those who actually come to participate in your show, you're creating an entire healing atmosphere and not just an entertaining show. What do you hope that your production do for those who sit in the presence of a Madam Sharr production? What do you hope comes out of that?
You know, when you see, it's different than having a conversation. When you see something actually played out and it looks familiar to you and you can identify with it, I want the attendees to look at it and know that there is a way out. There is hope. You can survive because at the end of the production, at the end of the show, it is a happy ending. So although amidst your situation, amidst your trauma, amidst whatever it is you're going through, it may seem like the road is never ending. Like there's not a closure there, but closure is attainable, it's reachable. There's a process to get there, but it is attainable. So you're not in a Madam Sharr production by happenstance. It's purposeful for you to be here, and help is available for you.
But I also just wanted to ask in regards to the production itself. So, what lessons? Tell us some of the lessons you've learned that you wish someone had shared with you.
Everyone doesn't have your best interest at heart. So I grew up in such a loving, caring home. I thought like I never wanted to believe the negative in a person. And so I didn't know to the extent of how people would pray up under you, PREY, as hint to my upcoming production, will pray up under you to gather everything and copy you to the T. And then because their platform is greater than yours, they implement. And so when you see that before your eyes, that can be very hurtful. And so I wish that someone would have told me to be more cautious and not accept everybody in so quickly.
With all of this you're doing, what about self-care? How do you manage your time, your production and book writing? But not only that, you are a senior pastor as well. So what tools or resources you use for your self-care and time management?
In the beginning, I really didn't focus on self-care for myself. Before mental health became, it's always been around before it became as open as it is now. I didn't know I was already walking into that role. So currently, I facilitate and teach individuals how to care for and interact in traumatic situations. I'm a youth mental health first aid instructor. And so when I started teaching and facilitating those classes, I was a bit lost. The relationship between my son and I was very frictional. It had so much going on between he and I. And after taking the class, becoming certified, and then becoming a facilitator, it helped me to align and put things into perspective. So right now, I'm currently putting in place a regimen for my self-care. Self-care is not something that you do when you feel overly tired or overly stressed or overwhelmed. It's something that you should be doing on a consistent basis.
Exactly.
Make sure you do that because
Absolutely.
you're actually doing a lot. So what scriptures keep you grounded and what keeps you focused on the now?
My favorite scripture that keeps me grounded and focused, Romans 8:28. And we know that all things work together for the good of those that love God and are called according to his purpose.
Phenomenal. And that's also one of my favorite scriptures as well. I have two that I go to, the Psalms 1 and that is Romans 8:28. Those are it. So now you are a phenomenal playwright and you're also an author. Tell us about this book. Tell us about this book, The Strategy, Healing, and Maintenance Playbook. I love it. Strategy, Healing, and Maintenance Playbook. What is Fearless Formation about?
I want to say, not to judge anyone, I want to say about 80% of individuals struggle with fear. So I spoke in this book as a strategy of things, key things that helped me along the way to deal with fear. Some level of fear is good because you can use it as a propelling mechanism to help you go forward. But a lot of people look at fear as negative, and it can be as well. So fearless formation is me taking every negative thing that was mixed with fear and using it as my way to push to the next level. And so the fearless formation is the process I went to get aligned up with my purpose to go forward. And so fearless formation is the strategy of showing you how to navigate, to push through and use your fear as your propelling mechanism.
And I just want to say here today on Love Speaks, thank you. Thank you for being a predecessor. Thank you for being the path that is leading so many others out of that place of brokenness, that place of fear, that place of doubt, that place of pain and trauma. You're that voice.
Exactly. And I just wanted to add on to that because I know that there is a difference between fear and the spirit of fear. Because natural fear is okay because natural fear is protective. It tells you to go the opposite way for your own personal safety. But the spirit of fear would stop you from reaching for your goals, stop you from trying harder, stop you. And so this fearless formation, you said strategy, healing, and maintenance. Can I ask what's at least one strategy?
One of the strategies after you've, because a lot of times we have that one hit wonder or we have something that's a grand, phenomenal thing. And so I always revert back to this strategy of giving back.
Where can we get this great book?
The book is available on Amazon.
Yes, and talk about the upcoming play and where can they purchase tickets, start purchasing those tickets early.
This next play is I'm Praying for You, Preying. The tickets are available online, or you can reach out to one of the cast members. The tickets are available online at ROCCSmove.com. And you can purchase your tickets there. You can see all of my upcoming productions on there, all of the different things that I'm doing in the community.
Well, I think that's about wraps it up for Love Speaks. In this episode, you can hear the love speaking through our Madam Sharr, Miss Shatanya Cromer, who's doing a phenomenal job. And so connect. So make sure you like, share, and tag somebody, hit the notification button to get more future episodes of Love Speaks just like this. We appreciate you. Until next time, thank you for being a pillar in our community that does a phenomenal job bringing faith, inspiration, and entertainment.
Clean entertainment.
Clean.
Entertainment.
Won't he make you?
Clean entertainment.
Clean
Thank you.
entertainment.